My dad disowned me for not going to his friend's Christmas tree farm while pregnant, then I discovered he was using the tradition to hide money from my mom. I, 33F, am currently 6 months pregnant with my first child, and what should be the happiest time of my life has turned into a complete family nightmare. My husband Frankie, 34M, and I have been married for 8 years, and we're beyond excited about starting our own family. The situation that's causing all this drama goes back to my childhood, so I'll provide some background. I'm the oldest of 4 siblings in what I always thought was a close-knit family. Ever since I can remember, my parents have maintained this strict Christmas tree tradition where we all drive 45 minutes into the mountains to cut down a tree at their friend Joey's tree farm. This tradition started even before I was born, when my dad and Joey were college roommates. Joey's tree farm isn't like the modern, family-friendly places you typically see. It's remote, basically just rows of trees on a mountainside with no facilities. No bathrooms, no shelter from the rain or snow, not even a proper parking area. Just a small shed where Joey keeps his equipment. Every year, rain or shine, freezing cold or not, we'd make this trip the first week of December. My siblings, Sarah, 30F, Mike, 28M, and Gemma, 26F, have always just gone along with it. None of them have kids yet, so they don't understand why I'm making what they call a big deal about it now. Growing up, we all secretly complained about it but never dared to challenge Dad's authority on this tradition. The thing about my dad Tom, 58M, is that he's always been extremely rigid about family traditions. Everything has to be done his way, at his chosen time, following his specific rules. Mom Linda, 56F, has always backed him up, saying it's just his way of showing love. But as I've gotten older, I've started to see how controlling this behavior really is. When I met Frankie 9 years ago, he was immediately expected to participate in this tradition too. He went along with it to make a good impression, but privately, he found it as uncomfortable as I did. The drive is treacherous in winter weather, the terrain is steep and slippery, and there's no cell phone reception up there. Every year, we'd spend hours freezing, watching Dad and Joey catch up while we waited to pick and cut down a tree. Last week, Frankie and I discovered this amazing tree farm just 15 minutes from our house. They have paved paths, heated seating areas, hot chocolate and cookies, activities for kids, and even a small petting zoo. When I saw how family-friendly it was, I could picture our future Christmases there with our daughter. It seemed perfect. I thought I'd suggest it to my parents as a nice alternative. I even made a whole presentation about why it would be better, especially with a baby on the way. But the moment I mentioned trying a different place, Dad shut down completely. He wouldn't even look at the photos I wanted to show him. That's when the text started. Dad began sending messages about how I was destroying family traditions and how disappointed he was in me. He brought up how he had always supported my choices, not true, and how this was the one thing he asked of us each year, also not true, he has many demands. My mom's response hurt too. She called me crying, saying I was breaking Dad's heart and asking why I wanted to hurt him this way. My siblings joined in, sending messages about how selfish I was being. Sarah said I was making problems where none existed. Mike suggested I was hormonal and not thinking clearly. Gemma flat out called me an ungrateful daughter. The situation reached a breaking point at our weekly family dinner. I explained calmly that being pregnant had made me realize I wanted to create traditions that my child would actually enjoy. Dad exploded. He started yelling about how I'd changed since getting married, how Frankie was poisoning me against the family, and how I clearly didn't value family anymore. When I tried to explain my concerns about safety and comfort, especially with a baby, Dad cut me off. He said if I couldn't respect family traditions, then maybe I wasn't really part of the family anymore. Mom just stood there crying while he basically disowned me in front of everyone. The aftermath has been brutal. My siblings are taking turns calling to tell me how I ruined everything. Dad has been telling extended family members that I'm trying to tear the family apart over a simple tradition. He's painting Frankie as this controlling husband who's forcing me to abandon my family values. Frankie is furious about how they're treating me, but he's trying to stay calm for the baby's sake. He says it's time we prioritize our own family unit, and I agree. But the constant messages and emotional manipulation from my family are making everything so much harder. My Aunt Carol, who I've always been close to, called to lecture me about respecting my father's wishes. She said when she was pregnant, she did everything her parents wanted because that's what good daughters do. The fact that she can't see how messed up that statement is just shows how normalized this controlling behavior is in our family. I don't think I'm wrong for wanting to start my own traditions with my child. The old farm isn't even safe. Last year, my cousin slipped on the icy slope and sprained her ankle. It took almost an hour to get her down the mountain because there are no proper paths. But my entire family is treating me like I'm committing some horrible betrayal by choosing a different tree farm. Ida for wanting to break away from this tradition and start something new with my own family? My parents and siblings say I'm being selfish and dramatic, but I feel like they're the ones being unreasonable. What do you think? Update 1 first, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. Your support helped me stay strong through what happened next. The situation has gotten much worse, and some dark family secrets have come to light. 3 days after my last post, my sister Sarah showed up at my house around midnight. She was crying and clearly distressed. Frankie was working late, so it was just us. Sarah kept apologizing and saying she couldn't keep the secret anymore. At first, I thought she was just upset about our family drama, but what she revealed changed everything. The real reason behind Dad's obsession with Joey's tree farm wasn't about tradition at all. For the past 15 years, Joey has been helping Dad hide a secret bank account from Mom. Their Christmas tree meetings were just a cover for their financial discussions. Sarah discovered this last year when she arrived early to the farm and overheard Dad and Joey talking in the equipment shed about moving money around. When Sarah confronted Dad about it back then, he fed her a story about how it was a special retirement fund he was building for all his children. He made her promise not to tell anyone, saying he wanted it to be a surprise for our future security. Sarah believed him at first. Dad can be very convincing when he wants to be. But 2 weeks ago, Sarah was at Dad's office dropping off some documents when she noticed his account statement left open on his computer. The numbers she saw were huge, way more than any retirement fund would need. She did some digging and found out that Dad had been systematically moving large amounts of money into this hidden account for years. The worst part? Mike and Gemma knew about it too. They found out 6 months ago when Dad needed their signatures for something related to the account. He bought their silence by promising them a significant share of the money. That's why they've been so aggressive about maintaining the tradition. They're protecting their inheritance. When Sarah finished telling me everything, I felt physically sick. All these years of guilt trips about family unity and tradition were just a cover for Dad's deception. Every time I complained about the cold or the long drive, every time Frankie and I suggested trying somewhere else, we were unknowingly threatening to expose Dad's secret meetings with Joey. I confronted Dad the next day. I wanted to give him a chance to explain himself. His reaction shocked me even more than Sarah's revelation. He didn't deny anything. Instead, he tried to justify it all, saying Mom was terrible with money and he needed a backup plan. Then, as if it was the most natural thing in the world, he offered to add me to the account if I agreed to continue the tradition and keep quiet. The conversation got heated. Dad said I was being ungrateful, that he was doing all this for us. When I pointed out that lying to Mom for 15 years was wrong, he got angry. He said I didn't understand how marriage worked, that sometimes you had to keep secrets to protect your spouse. It was twisted logic, but he seemed to truly believe it. What followed was even worse. Mike and Gemma showed up while Dad and I were arguing. They defended him, saying it wasn't my business how Dad handled his money. Gemma even suggested that my pregnancy hormones were making me overly emotional about the situation. The level of manipulation was staggering. The family is now completely divided. Sarah wants to tell Mom everything, believing she has a right to know about the hidden money. Mike and Gemma are still supporting Dad, claiming that exposing the truth would destroy the family. They've started spreading rumors that I'm trying to blackmail Dad for money, and some relatives actually believe them. My Aunt Carol, the same one who criticized me about breaking tradition, is now helping spread these lies. She's telling everyone that Frankie and I are trying to extort money from Dad using the Christmas tree tradition as leverage. The irony of the situation would be funny if it wasn't so painful. The stress of all this has started affecting my pregnancy. My blood pressure has been elevated, and my doctor warned me about staying calm for the baby's sake. Frankie is furious about the whole situation. He wants to tell Mom immediately, saying she deserves to know the truth. But I'm worried about how this revelation might affect her. Mom has been dealing with heart problems lately, and something like this could seriously impact her health. Sarah stays in contact secretly, keeping me updated about what's happening at home. Apparently, Dad has become paranoid, constantly checking his phone and having private conversations with Joey. Mom knows something is wrong but has no idea what's really going on. I never imagined that standing up for myself about a simple tradition would uncover such a massive deception. Now I have to decide whether to expose everything and potentially destroy my family, or stay quiet and be complicit in Dad's lies. Either way, it feels like there's no going back to how things were. I'll update again when I decide what to do about this situation. For now, I'm trying to focus on staying healthy for my baby while watching my family fall apart around me. Update 2: After weeks of agonizing over what to do, I finally made the decision to tell Mom everything. The fallout was even worse than I expected, and more family secrets came to light that changed everything. I invited Mom over for coffee one morning when Dad was at work. Frankie was home but stayed in another room to give us privacy. I had prepared all the evidence, account statements Sarah had photographed, text messages between Dad and Joey, and everything else we discovered. Mom sat quietly as I explained everything. I told her about the secret account, Joey's involvement, and how my siblings knew. Her face remained blank throughout, but I could see her hands shaking as she held her coffee cup. When I finished, she didn't cry or get angry like I expected. Instead, she laughed, a hollow, bitter laugh that scared me more than any reaction I'd anticipated. Then Mom shared something that made the situation even more heartbreaking. She had suspected Dad was hiding money for years but could never prove it. She noticed large sums missing from their joint account, but Dad always had excuses: business investments, home repairs, medical bills. The worst revelation was about Joey's wife Susan. Apparently, Susan had tried to warn Mom about Dad and Joey's secret meetings 7 years ago. She had found suspicious documents in their farm office and tried to tell Mom. But Dad had already prepared for this possibility. He convinced Mom that Susan was jealous of their family's success and was trying to cause problems. Mom believed Dad over Susan, and it destroyed their 20-year friendship. Susan passed away last year from cancer, never having reconciled with Mom. Now Mom has to live with the guilt of not believing her friend's warning. Mom left my house determined to confront Dad. Despite my protests, she insisted on handling it alone. That evening, All hell broke loose. Dad showed up at my house with Mike and Gemma, all of them in a rage. Dad was screaming about betrayal and loyalty, saying I had destroyed his marriage and ruined everyone's lives. During this confrontation, the truth about the money finally came out. Dad hadn't been saving it for retirement or for us kids. He had been lending money to Joey for years, trying to save the failing tree farm. Joey had mismanaged his business badly and was deep in debt. Dad kept giving him money, hoping to become a partner in the business and turn things around. But most of the money was gone, lost to Joey's poor business decisions and mounting debts. That's why Dad was so desperate to keep the tradition going. He was trying to protect his investment and keep an eye on Joey's operation. The Christmas tree tradition that he claimed was about family unity was really about protecting his secret financial deals. The family has completely split apart. Sarah called me sobbing because Dad, Mike, and Gemma had cut her off completely. They blame us for exposing the secret and causing Mom to file for divorce. Most of our extended family has sided with Dad, believing his story that Frankie and I somehow orchestrated this whole thing to get Mom to divorce him. Mom moved in with Sarah temporarily while she sorts out the divorce proceedings. She's devastated not just about the lost money, but about how Mike and Gemma chose to keep Dad's secret. She keeps saying she failed as a mother because she raised children who thought it was okay to lie to their own mother. The annual Christmas tree tradition that was supposed to represent family togetherness now stands as a symbol of years of deception. Joey's tree farm has become a painful reminder of broken trust and destroyed relationships. Dad's desperate attempt to save a failing business cost him his marriage, his relationship with two of his children, and the respect of anyone who knows the truth. I'm trying to stay focused on my pregnancy and the upcoming holidays, but it's hard when your family is falling apart. Frankie has been my rock through all of this, reminding me that protecting Mom's right to know the truth was more important than maintaining Dad's lies. I'll update again if anything significant happens, but for now, I'm just trying to process everything and stay healthy for my baby. Update 3: Life has changed dramatically since my last update. I'm now in my 8th month of pregnancy, and watching my family deal with the aftermath of Dad's secrets has been both painful and enlightening. Mom's divorce proceedings revealed even more financial deception. The lawyer discovered that Dad had been taking loans from multiple people in our community, using Joey's tree farm as collateral. At least 6 other families came forward saying Joey had borrowed substantial amounts from them too. The tree farm, which Dad claimed was a good investment, was actually at the center of a small-scale scam operation. Mike and Gemma finally saw Dad's true colors when they discovered he had drained their college fund to prop up Joey's failing business. All those promises about shares in the secret account meant nothing, the money was gone. They tried to apologize to Mom and me, showing up at Sarah's house with tears and explanations. But Mom told them she needed time to process their betrayal. I felt the same way. Trust, once broken, isn't easily rebuilt. Joey filed for bankruptcy last month, leaving Dad and all the other investors with nothing. Dad tried to sue Joey, but his lawyer advised against it since Dad had been helping hide money and deceive Mom. Now Dad spends his time sending angry messages to everyone, blaming us for ruining his life instead of accepting responsibility for his choices. The whole situation affected our extended family too. Aunt Carol, who had been so quick to spread lies about me, apologized after finding out her husband had also lost money in Joey's schemes. But the damage to our relationship was already done. I told her I needed space from all the family drama. Frankie and I decided to focus on preparing for our baby's arrival. We found this wonderful tree farm near our house, run by a kind elderly couple. When they heard our story, they were incredibly supportive. The wife, Martha, even reserved a special tree for us and helped us start our own tradition. It was peaceful, just Frankie and me, planning our baby's first Christmas without any family pressure or hidden agendas. Sarah has been amazing through everything. She helps Mom with the divorce paperwork and has become my strongest support besides Frankie. She'll be in the delivery room with us when the baby comes. Mom is slowly healing too, focusing on being there for her first grandchild instead of dwelling on Dad's betrayal. Dad, Mike, and Gemma still aren't speaking to us. Last I heard, they were trying to start a new Christmas tradition at some other tree farm. Part of me feels sad about the broken relationships, but a larger part feels relieved to be free from the manipulation and lies. The holidays are approaching, and for the first time, I'm not dreading December. No more long drives to a remote farm, no more pretending to enjoy something that was built on deception. Mom says she feels the same way, like a weight has been lifted despite all the pain. I've learned that sometimes the hardest part of growing up is realizing that family traditions aren't always what they seem. Sometimes they're just covers for darker truths, and maintaining them at all costs can do more harm than good. That's where things stand now. My baby girl will be here soon, and she'll grow up knowing that honesty and respect are more important than keeping up appearances. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey. While the outcome wasn't what anyone expected, I know I made the right choice in exposing the truth.